mission, mama on a mission, mama on a mission for a better life.
Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Denise and I'm also a blogger, and you can find my blog over at mumonamissionforabetterlife.co.uk. So great to have you here guys. Today I am doing another tag inspired video, and it's called 50 questions you've never been asked. I thought it'd be a really good way for you guys to get to know me more, see how mad I am, and how much I can ramble. So if you manage to stay with me for the whole 50 questions, then you are like the superstars, and you must let me know. You must comment and tell me, so I can give you guys a thumbs up for being such stars and staying with me. And also just like to connect with you guys and hear your thoughts on my answers to the questions, and what are your answers to these questions. So it would be great if I could hear from you. But that's enough for me now. Keep nattering on. I need to get on with this video. So here's the first question. Oh, that would have to be, I wouldn't say I've got a particular favourite, but it has to be sweet. I love anything that smells sweet. The same with perfume as well. I like to have the sweet smells. And I also really like seasonal candles as well. So, you know, the Halloween type ones that they bring out. You know, it might be pumpkin or something for Halloween. You know, sugar cookies and things for Christmas. Flowers, different flowers for the summer or spring. So I can give you my favourite candle make. And that is Yankee Candle. You can't beat a Yankee Candle, can you? Got to be Dawn French. I absolutely love her. I think she's amazing. I've read her autobiographies and watched her various shows on TV, and she's just brilliant. Such a comic genius, and so confident, and just a really nice level-headed lady. So she'd be the perfect sister, I think. This one was harder. I think I'm going to say James Corden, because he just seems like such a nice man, and he seems like he's fantastically brilliant at everything he does. He can act, he can sing, he can play most sports after watching him on his sports show. He's just a really nice guy who seems to be brilliant at everything. So that would be a nice big brother to have. Also, he might be able to shine some fame onto me, which would be even better. So yeah, definitely I think I'm going to say James Corden. I'm already married, so I know how old I was when I got married. I was 22. I think that depends on what you define a hoarder to be, because I'm a hoarder. I'm a self-confessed hoarder, I will admit it, but not like those American TV shows where you walk into somebody's house and there's literally like garbage and cat feces and stuff mixed in with all of this stuff they actually wanted in the first place, and it's piled up to the ceiling. I'm not that kind of hoarder, but I do like to keep stuff. I don't like to part with things, because I'm always thinking, well, what if I need it at another time? Then I'd have to buy another one. Or kids' memories and scrapbooks and things like that. I've got loads of those sorts of things. And my husband's always moaning at me and saying that I hoard too much. So I guess I'm a hoarder, but not to the extreme of the TV shows though. No. I think I was about 6 actually when I learned to ride my bike, and it was my stepfather that is the father to my brother and sister who taught me, and he basically just went, oh, hold on, I promise, just don't stop pedalling, and then the next thing I knew I'm cycling off and he just stood there. So yeah, I guess that's how most people learn to ride, I imagine. I've swum in the ocean off the Felixstowe coast in England when I was a child. I'd never do that now because the water is so polluted. It does not look inviting at all, and it's always freezing as well. But I've also swam in an ocean that is the Mediterranean. I went to Salou in Costa Dorada, and I went swimming in there. I've been in there a few times because the water is clear and beautiful, and the weather's also hot, so it's a nice ocean to swim in. Well, not including the one I live in, I've been to 2 others. I've been to Spain, like I was just talking about, and I've also been to France when I took the children to Disneyland Paris, and I've also been to France as a child on a school trip as well when we went to Paris. No, we don't actually have any family members at all on either side of us, but my sister has a partner who is actually in the army right now, so that's the kind of the closest link we have to the army. Well, I have 3 daughters, but I can tell you what I was going into, because each daughter was a toss-up between 2 names. So we ended up naming Lauren, but she could have been a Jasmine, because that was the other name that we'd been considering at that time. And then obviously we called Chloe, but that was also a narrowed down to either Chloe or Megan, so she could have been a Megan. And finally Faith was split, we were split between Paige and Faith, so she could have been a Paige. But no, I'm happy with the names that we have, Lauren, Chloe and Faith. It's funny actually, because obviously with my grandson being born back in August, and once we knew that he was going to be a boy, I did think about, if I'd had a son, what would I have called him? Now I know back when I was pregnant with Lauren, we made a deal that I could name Lauren if she was a girl, and my husband would name her if he was a boy, if she was a boy rather. And the name that he wanted to name her would have been Ryan if she'd been a boy. But then luckily I got my own way because I had all girls. But then when I was thinking about baby names when my grandson was being born, I did think that if I'd have had the choice of naming my own son, I think I would have gone for Trey. Well, in the UK, I think it's just recently changed, but when I was at school in the UK, your GCSE was graded A, B, C, D, E, F, and might have even been a G, and then you got, after that it was a U for ungradable, so that was the fail. And the worst mark I got in my GCSEs was an F, and that was for German. Scooby-Dooby-Doo! Love that show. This is an easy one for me. Nothing. We did not celebrate Halloween when I was a child, so I never dressed up as anything at all. I haven't actually, which is probably quite a bad thing to admit, I would have thought, because they're such popular books and now TVs or films, but I haven't actually read any of them. I have watched all the Harry Potter movies, and I've watched 1 or 2 of the Twilight films, I think, but I've never watched or read anything about the Hunger Games, so yeah. That's quite a funny one really, because obviously I am I'm British, but then I haven't got the typical British accent that you see on the TV films and programmers, because everybody's accents vary so much depending on what county you live in, but then most people say that I don't sound like a Suffolk person, even though I've been born and bred in Suffolk. So it's difficult, and I think again with American accents, they can vary very much depending on which state somebody comes from. But if I had to pick between the typical television British accent or American accent, I think I'd actually go for the American one. No, she did not. She was a young mother, much like myself, and she never returned to education. No, my grandparents on my father's side have both passed away, and my grandparent on my mother's side, we only knew my nana, and she's still alive, but she didn't marry the partner of my mother, who would be my granddad. So I can't really say yes for either of those. No. Of course I do. He's from the Muppets, and that was a show I very much enjoyed when I was a child. That would be a theme park called Pleasurewood Hills, which is sort of between Suffolk. It's sort of on the border of Suffolk and Norfolk, where they meet each other. So it's about an hour or so away from where I live. And I remember my mum taking me there as a child with my uncle and his partner at that time. I'd love to be able to speak every language that is in the world, mostly because I'm really nosy, and when I hear people talking in a language that I don't understand, I panic a bit and think maybe they're talking about me and I don't know. And I'd love to be able to just answer them in their native language, because most of the time I think that would quite shock people. But yeah, I've always been really bad at languages, hence my earlier answer about my worst grade actually was in German. But I would like to learn Spanish, so I'm trying to teach Spanish to Faith, but I'm using a learning program because obviously I don't know how to speak Spanish. So I'm trying to learn Spanish with Faith as she learns it, and she's certainly doing a lot better than I am, because my memory is shocking and I just can't seem to pick it up. But that is something that I'm going to try and continue to do, because it's nice when you go on holiday to Spain. It'd be nice if I could speak a bit of Spanish to the people that are there. Grey. I actually don't know, because my father, biological father, left when I was a baby and has since said he doesn't want to be in my life. So I don't know what his hair situation is. But the man that I call my dad, who is an absolute star, is not completely bald. He's definitely thinned a lot, but he's still got hair on his head. I don't know any personally, but I do know that there are triplet children. I think they're probably around Faith's age, I think, who live on the same street as we do. But I've never been friends with any triplets at all. It's very rare, I think, in where I live anyway. Oh, Titanic. I love that film. It's so romantic and I cry every time. Yeah, definitely going to be Titanic for me. I have, but I'm not a fan. Basically because I've been brought up on a very bland diet. I've had a lot more different foods as I've been an adult, but I'm still very much, I don't like spicy food. So I try and keep away as much as I can. I do enjoy a chicken korma, and I have had chicken tikka masala before in the past, but it's a little bit spicy for me. And I've also enjoyed buttered chicken, and I don't mind the occasional onion bhaji, but that's about as Indian as my cuisine is going to get. I don't have one. I wish I did, but I can't answer that because I don't have one. I very rarely eat out in restaurants anyway, so I don't have a favourite one. No, I've not actually ever heard of that before. So I don't know, do we even have them in the UK? I don't know. If you guys know, then give us a comment and let me know. But I certainly haven't been. No. Do you know, I have absolutely no idea at all. Well, I don't really have a nickname. Darren always calls me Babe, and I always call him Babe unless I'm annoyed at him, and then I call him Darren and he gets annoyed at me, which always makes me laugh because it's like he's getting annoyed at me for calling him his name. If I could have chosen a nickname, I always liked the name Dee, so I wouldn't have minded if people had nicknamed me Dee, but they didn't, so no nicknames for me. Well, being a mum, I have to say my children, and I can't order them in 1, 2 or 3. They're all equally loved the same and the most important people to me, and they are very closely followed by my husband Darren. Town, definitely. I grew up as a child in the countryside where there was one bus that used to come through the village a day, I do believe, and then I think up to 2 towards the end of my childhood. There was only one shop, which was like a corner shop in the village, and then there was my primary school, and that was it. And a few houses and lots of trees. I did not like it at all. I know some people love it, they think it's brilliant to be at one with nature and all of that, and I like nature, don't get me wrong, but I also like the fact that if I move, if I come out of my house right now, I can walk within about 2 minutes, there's a shop, 2 minutes further down the road there's a bus stop, and I can get on the buses that come every 20 minutes, take me straight into town where there's loads of shops, there's pubs, there's bars, there's parks, there's museums, there's stuff to do, and there's people to speak to, and it's busy and lively and energises me, and I love that. I hated being cut off from the world, it just isn't me at all. No. No. I do actually, because I was brought up being told that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So very rarely do I miss having my morning breakfast. Yes, I suffer with, well, I wouldn't say suffer actually, I'd say I manage my depression that I have because I have poor mental health. So I am on medication for that. So I take venlafaxine. I'm quite proud because I was taking 2 different medications for my depression, very high dosages, and I managed to come off one of them. So I'm only on the one now, and doctors are thinking that that's going to be a permanent fixture. And if it keeps me at a level sort of place so that I can carry on, I can manage it, I can get on with my life and be a mum and a blogger and all the things that I want to do, then I'm happy with that. Yes, so like I just said, I suffer from chronic depression, and also I had chronic fatigue syndrome in about 2007 or 8 was when I got it. It was officially diagnosed as 2009. And I suffered from that for about 8 years in total, but I got through the other side. Well, I had to think about this because I've been quite a few times. So I went when obviously I gave birth to my 3 children, required hospital visits, and then I was a smoker. I was a very heavy smoker for a lot of years, and developed a lot of chest infections because of that. At one point they thought I was getting pneumonia, so I was took into hospital. I was given inhalers and nebulizers, so that was a few visits for that. Also, when I was a teenager, I remember going into hospital a few times, maybe 2 or 3 times, to do with kidney infections. So after adding it all up, I would say approximately 18 times. Well, because I am very short, and I never realised that I was short until it suddenly occurred to me that all my jeans I was buying, the legs, the bottoms were always dragging along the floor and getting holes in them, and then it turned out that I needed to buy what they call petite, which I think is a really silly name when you're my size, but for short people basically. I found that New Look did the perfect length of jeans if I bought the petite range size in my dress size. So for the last sort of 7 or 8 years now, I've been buying my jeans from New Look. I'm a mum, of course I've seen that film. Well, that would be what my husband would have said to me. I can't repeat that, I don't think, on video. But basically, what he meant was that I looked attractive to him. I do sometimes, you know, and it's kind of crazy sometimes to think what these dreams must be trying to tell us. They can be quite bizarre, can't they? And sometimes I'll know that I've had a dream, but I can't quite remember what happened in it. And then maybe a few hours later it will suddenly pop into my head and I'll be like, ah, that's what I was dreaming about. So yeah, I do most of the time remember what I've dreamt. Absolutely none. Do not drink tea or coffee, so no favourite tea for me. I think I will say 4. Well, obviously I am raising my children, and 2 have already left home and are adults, and I've raised all 3 of them to have no religion, because personally, no offence to anybody else, but personally I do not believe in religion at all. But what I have tried to teach my children is to be respectful of others. So respect what other people believe in, and if they wanted to, you know, take up a belief system or a religion, then I would have fully supported that. I remember taking my older 2 children to like a church youth group, and they got into that for a little while, and I said to them, you know, that's something you would like to learn more about, Christianity, and that would be happy for them to do that. But they changed their minds and they didn't want to do that. But like I said, I try to bring them up to respect others, but realise that my belief and their belief is that their religion is not really real. Goodness me, I don't know if I can remember that far back. I would probably have said a 6 or 7 maybe, I'm not sure. I can't even remember finding out, to be honest. Obviously I must have done, but I can't remember how old I was. So I'm guessing that means a blog, and the reason that I have a blog is because I was in the stages of getting over having chronic fatigue syndrome, and I wanted to be able to express myself creatively, and I could do that through the blog. So, and then I found as I did that I actually loved doing it. I loved writing posts about family life, tips for other people, planning stuff, recording our days out and things that we've gotten up to, and I love the world of blogging. I love the community. I just love everything about it really, so that's why I carried it on. Wow guys, that is 50 questions, and if you're still with me now, you've done really well and I'm very proud of you. Yeah, that took me a lot longer than I thought, some very random questions in there, but I hope you've enjoyed watching and found it entertaining, put my teeth in. yeah, I hope you found it entertaining, and I hope that you've learned a few things about me as well that you did not already know. If you have enjoyed, then do give me a thumbs up, please. And it's always nice if you could subscribe to the channel. That would be lovely. And it would also be lovely if you could follow me on all my socials. And if you want to be an extra superstar, leave some comments so that I know what you thought. Is there anything that surprised you that you learned about me? Anything that you could see very similar to yourself, or anything that you disagreed with and thought was awful? Anything you'd like to tell me, get on the comments. I want to get social, guys, and I want to hear your thoughts. So get commenting. And thanks for watching, as always. And I will speak to you guys soon.